Hi ladies, this is Rosa from Latina Leaders Leaving a Legacy. I am here to teach women how to be great leaders who leave a legacy for their future generations. On this channel, I talk about leadership principles from a woman's perspective, partnered up with biblical principles. So if you're new to this channel, subscribe right now and follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Today, I'm going to talk about power and leadership. So I'm here to talk about power and leadership today. So let's talk about this. So why do I want to talk about this? Well, first of all, let's look at the definition of what a leader is. That's important to know before we move on or you even think you're a leader. And you also need to define what type of leader you are. What's your leadership style, right? There's many leadership styles. So today I want to help you define leadership. I want to be able to help you see if this is your style of leadership and also clarify what leadership is when it comes to power. Okay? So the definition of leadership is a leader has the power and ability to lead other people, not animals, people. A process of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal. Leaders are people who know how to achieve goals and inspire people along the way. So let's break down that definition piece by piece, okay? Power, the first thing is a leader has the power and ability to lead others. So power is huge. What does power mean? Power is having abilities, being able to do something, right? Power or ability to lead other people. That's what a leader does. Why power and why ability? It says power. This means that leaders exert some sort of power over their followers. It's not a physical power, although sometimes this does happen, but it can be emotional or mental power to influence other people. I wanted to talk about this because a lot of people think that in their head, leadership is about being powerful. It's about being strong, physically strong. It's about being able to control people and manipulate people and to get them to do what you want them to do. And that's completely wrong. If you're thinking that leadership is that, it's under those terms, then you've learned the wrong definition of leadership. And the reason I wanted to go into it is because myself, as a Latina immigrant, second generation, which means that I was born in the United States, I was born a New Yorker, to parents who are first generation immigrants. So they were born in Colombia and Peru, and they migrated to the United States, and then I was born, hence second generation Latina immigrant. So what happened with me and my parents was that being born in New York, I didn't understand how they thought, their thought process and their culture. They tried to impose that authoritarian kind of leadership on me, and it didn't work. It didn't work because I was an American, I was born in the United States, and as a New Yorker, we're given a lot of freedoms where you also get exposed to a lot of different cultures, and you learn so much about the way of life that you realize there's a whole world out there to be conquered. There's so much to do, nothing is impossible. Really, New York is a great place to live. I love New York because I learned how to dream big. I saw people all around me in the trains when I would travel to school, rich people, poor people, and I started to dream in my life, in my head, what is it that I wanted to do with my life? And so I got inspired by everything that I was exposed to in New York City. So, but yet my parents, my mother at home was busy teaching me how to be a follower. She believed in the Latin culture that a woman was born to serve a man. So from the moment I was born, she was teaching me how to be a good wife, how to be a good daughter, how to be a good mother. She was teaching me how to be a follower. So I couldn't comprehend her mentality. Where did this come from? And my dad, he just stood quiet and he was fine by that. And, he thought that, the best way to be successful was just, have a lot of money. That's it. It was just have a lot of money. But he didn't know like really how to guide me. Neither of them, they didn't know any better. So I said to myself, what's going on in their head? Why did they teach me to be followers? So what I did was I went back to school. I got my bachelor's in political science, and then I got my master's in Latin American Caribbean studies. And when I did that, I started studying the Latin American culture and what happened, the history of South America and Latin America. And what I learned was that the Latin American countries had been conquered and invaded by Spaniards and Europeans at the time. And when they arrived in their soldier uniforms, all decked out with their weapons. And up until then, the indigenous people that have been living in Latin America, they were already under this system of authoritarianism. What that means is that they had like a hierarchy. So they believed that there was noble people, leaders that were called to be leaders, and if you're born into that family, you were part of nobility. And so therefore, you were the ones that always were in leadership positions, and then below them were the next level and next level. So they were always taught that if you were in the lower level, in the poor level or less fortunate level, you were always to follow what the noble class said. So it was like a class system. So that culture, when they saw the Spaniards arrive, that indigenous group of people who were used to this authoritarian hierarchy type of system, culture, when they saw the Spaniards arrive with authority, with weapons, and, blonde hair, blue eyes. And so it was easy to accept whatever the Spaniards say and to obey them, because they just saw themselves as common people. They just saw themselves as peasants, as followers. And here these people arrive with guns and steel and armor and and horses, and they spoke with such confidence. So they accepted whatever the Spaniards or the Europeans said to them, and they brought on their Catholic, also patriarchal society type of mentality, and teaching them that women were less than, men were in authority, and that if you were not religious, believing in the Roman Catholic religion, if you didn't follow the Roman Catholic religion, you were going to hell and you were no good. So this explains, because a lot of people wonder, how did just a few European people be able to conquer such a huge nations, such a huge group of people that lived in such a big piece of land of South America? Well, it was because, number one, that mentality. Number two, also they brought a lot of diseases and a lot of illnesses with them from Europe, and this killed off the indigenous people because their immune system wasn't used to it. So those are just a couple of factors of what happened in the history of Latin America and what led up to the whole mentality of a woman is less than, because the Roman Catholic Church also taught that as women we were daughters of Eve. And if you read the Bible, in the story of Genesis, the beginning of time, you read that Eve was the one who caused Adam to sin by eating the fruit, the forbidden fruit. And because of that, there was the fall of man, and sin was introduced into the world through Eve. So the Roman Catholic Church started teaches, or was, I don't know if it teaches that yet anymore, but they used to teach that if you were a woman, you were a daughter of Eve, therefore you were the cause of the fall of man, therefore you were a seducer, everything was your fault. If men failed, it was your fault, and you had to redeem yourself by living a very pious, very conservative, very restricted life, very quiet life. You couldn't express yourself sexually. You couldn't express yourself in any kind of way that was authoritative or disrespectful to a man, because if not, then you were acting like Eve and you would be the fall of man. So so my mom believed in all this, and so the moment I was born and raised by her, she taught me how to be a follower how to serve man, how to be quiet and always keep my mouth shut and always behave like a lady. Cross your legs when you sit down. Don't laugh too loud. Don't attract too much attention to yourself, because then you're just being a seducer. You're being the daughter of Eve. So I never learned leadership. So I started studying. As I started studying, I said, I get it. The Latin American culture gets this authoritarianism from way back in their history, from the beginning of time. So they're used to somebody always telling them what to do, always controlling them, speaking to them in a very harsh and strong manner. And if you don't do it in a male tone or with that harsh tone, then they don't think you're a leader. And it took me years to be able to not just go to school and learn all this, but also God to be able to come and heal me and renew my mind, teaching me that I was not a follower, that I was a leader. I had to learn that God was my head and that I was a head and not the tail. I had to learn that God had empowered me to be a leader just as much as he had empowered man. And, we get caught up in these roles and functions and things of a male, female roles of what they do in a household. And that's not what God intended us to argue about. It was more about respect and partnership and knowing the gifts that each one of us hold. God definitely has an order and a hierarchy, but it's not to disrespect a woman at all. It's to honor a woman, because he knew that a woman would be so beautiful, so strong, and so smart, and so able to lead, that he said, you know what, I got to give her a capable partner that is going to take care of some things, some roles, some functions, so that she can function the best in her abilities. So when you partner up with the right man, and he sees the full potential in you as a leader, believe me, he is not intimidated. He will not hold you back. He will empower you to be the best you possible ever, because he knows his place and he knows you, and you know your place, and you respect each other. And we are to honor our men, but our men are to honor us as well. It's a partnership. And so I want to be able to distinguish power. Is it power to manipulate as a leader? Is it physical power to control somebody, to influence and control them emotionally and mentally, to manipulate them? Or are you the type of leader that stirs up people's emotions, and you're a great leader because you're charismatic and you stir them up, and that's your leadership style? Do you call yourself a leader like that? Or are you the type of leader that God calls us to be, which is power and ability to empower others to be the best possible version of themselves, to accomplish their purpose, to accomplish their calling, to live the abundant life, and to reach wholeness? That's what God gave us power to do. That's why God calls us to be a leader. He gives us power because that power is supposed to flow through us and empower others. It is not just for us to hold the power and hold up our muscles and say, I've arrived. And it's not power to control others or to have staff and employees so that they make you rich. If that's not leadership, that's not the kind of power that God gave us so that we could lead. He gave us power and authority to be able to, the authority to exude confidence and his love over certain either departments, territories, regions, family, whatever it is that God has given you authority over. He entrusted us with this power so that we could do good, not evil. So that we can be selfless, not selfish. So I really want to encourage you today to search your heart and to remember that all power, ultimately, at the end of the day, all power comes from God. The Bible says in Psalm 62:11, one thing God has spoken, two things I have heard. Power belongs to you, God, and with you, Lord, is unfailing love. Isn't it funny how he says love and power in the same sentences? Because he doesn't want you to forget that the only reason that he placed you as a leader and he gave you the power to lead is because he wants you to love on people and share his love, unconditional love, unfailing love with the world. He didn't make you a leader to have power to control, manipulate, influence, and fulfill some kind of toxic need to feel needed, or to be the center of attention, or because you're a needy person. That's not, or you need some kind of validation. That's not why God gave you the ability to be a leader. He positioned you in leadership to bless others. Another scripture, 1 Chronicles 29:11 says, yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor. For everything in heaven and earth is yours. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom. You are exalted as head over all. He is the head over all leaders. So if you call yourself a leader, you better make sure that you acknowledge God as your head. And then I really pray that you put yourself under the authority of the Most High God, and that you follow his unction and his calling and his lead to lead his people in love, in compassion, in whatever the people need, that you exude that love, and that power from God flows through you to bring healing to them and to meet their needs. So I hope this blessed you today. I want you to search yourself, do some self-reflection, and say, what is my leadership style, and why am I doing it this way? Is it because of me, or is it because that's what God has called me to do? And how is it affecting the people? Is it because an effective leader, a real authoritative leader, will cause people to achieve their goals, lead them towards success, achieve their goals, and inspire them to be a better version of themselves. Are your people becoming better versions of themselves and being inspired by you? I dare you to ask them. Well, this is my end of the video. I hope you loved what I shared. I hope you were blessed. If you guys have any questions or comments, please comment below on the video. You can send me, DM me any questions. I'd love to talk about more leadership topics. I am going to be doing more, and this is the beginning of my podcast, and I hope you were blessed. God bless you, ladies, and have a great day.